How about this?
Nailed it. Oh, come on!
Hello there, Frogman here, better known as Ryan, and I hate nice things. As the weeks have gone on, I've realized I've only ever reviewed good games that I like. And as we all know, good things cannot last. I learned that from Twitter. So basically, I need a game that is so unbelievably bad that I can rip it apart and nobody would think twice about it. Something that is so dog shit, it'll drive me to insanity. Something that is so awful that... It was in the video title. Why am I doing this?
The game starts with this sick intro showcasing events that happened in the show in a new perspective, or rather, the same events in the same perspective with some 3D shadings, and this is really cool. It shows off many different fan-favorite characters along with Tatsumaki, showing the different abilities you'll have in the game. Kind of. Now before you adjust your screens, let me tell you that the resolution on your device is not wrong. It's just super zoomed in because the game starts in windowed mode by default for no other reason other than f*** you, I suppose. I mean, put yourself in the shoes of the animation artist who slaved away on these shots for months only for it to be reduced to a postcard when released. Maybe their idea was to hide the fact that the cinematic doesn't show any gameplay by zooming out so nobody could see it.
One Punch Man, a hero nobody knows!
I mean, yeah, I can read too. Look at this. We're taken immediately into the game to sign our rights away and get into the best part of the game, the character creator. Now, when I say best part, I only mean one very specific part of the character creator, and that is the accessories. You only have a small collection to start with, but you can place them anywhere on your body, and I do mean absolutely anywhere. Why? Why is it like this? This is perfect. I don't think they've, thought of that. Wait! Why? Why am I able to do this? As fun as it is, I think they figured out what kind of power we would have if we could place things anywhere in our body and further adjust them with the advanced placement, so they limit us to only 8 at a time. But listen, we signed our rights away at the beginning, so we gotta play by their rules. Finish your character and name to find out your inspiration for becoming a hero. Getting your ass kicked.
Those eyes! I like them!
Are you hitting on me now? You get saved by Saitama, who proceeds to do his whole singular punch thing, and that's all the backstory we get. Fast forward and we are ignoring Lecture Man.
The true college experience.
He tells us about the hero ranking system, and tells us that since we are in C class, we should expect ourselves to do menial work, helping the common man off the street, while more intense fights are reserved for heroes of higher classes like A or S. He decides we should head into the city to help people there. Alright, note to self, don't change areas too often. We're told that this location, the branch office, is where we will get our non-monster busting jobs, where we'll get missions that will raise our notoriety within the Heroes Association. So oh my god, I can finally go full screen! I've been playing for almost 20 minutes at this point, and I'm finally able to access a menu that allows me to change the view mode and resolution. I checked later, and the only options in the title screen was start and quit. It's not a huge thing, it's just a bit strange design-wise, you know? Moving on, we go to the branch office where we take our tutorial mission to get familiar with the controls, and as far as I know, there's no way to skip it. Repeat playthroughs be damned. The tutorial does this really annoying thing in stopping all of the action to force you to do button presses and combos, and when I really want to get through this damn thing, it kills the pace so much. But I suppose it's fine since they don't want me to miss anything important. It's just really killing the pace a bit. Anyway, we beat the mission, and now we have another loading screen. Keep in mind, I added the music in post. Anyway, we beat the tutorial, so now we can move on to another tutorial level. Could we not have saved ourselves a loading screen by doing it before? Load in, we learn about the things that can happen in fights. Hero arrivals show up below your health bar with a timer. Once it reaches 0, they'll crash the fight and perform a random move against the opponent. The only way to ensure a hero arrives is to survive the timer, but you can also perform combos and perfect guards to drop that time limit. This mechanic is born directly off of the inclusion of Saitama in PvP fights. As he is the most strongest, fights would be awful if he was a normal character, and would result in whoever plays him first winning the fight. This mechanic, however, gives the player backup in the campaign so long as they are skilled enough to survive until they arrive. It's neat enough in a vacuum, but then again, to shorten the timer, you need to pull off combos against the other person, and at that point, you're already winning against them, so the backup becomes pointless. Whatever. You're told about events that add a map effect ranging from meteors, lightning, character spoilers, and item drops. I should mention that the specific event where there are characters in the area, and the wording of that made me initially think that they were on some other job and will crash through the fight, circumstantially hurting anybody in the way. Instead, what happens is that the character spawns in, focuses on the enemy, and...
Damn it! Not like this!
Neat. Now it's time to help out citizens, and we can talk to people to gain missions that either means you have to fight someone or go to another spot on the map and interact with them. To start, these will be simple and rather pointless tasks. I mean, like, did you really need me to deliver the documents you had? But that's just the experience of the world we're in. Because we're so low ranking, we're not given the glamorous monster busting work. Except for the monster busting work we get right away in the branch office. It's fine, maybe I was supposed to select the burglar mission first. Even though it is second on the list, anyway, I'll just need to suffer through another loading screen, and I'll be in the intended experience.
You're tougher than most humans I've met. But hey, don't let it go to your head.
Most humans? Who talks like that? Wait, why am I paired with an A-class hero so early? Doesn't he have better things to do than beat up a guy who has a weak grasp on what species they are? Whatever though. I need to grind out missions and tasks to do the next story bit, which has me go and rescue an old man from a bunch of thugs. Hey, wait, I know that guy. Honestly, I think this is a little cool that this mission exists, since it gives us an in right away with the S-class hero, but we can just have Silverfang fight them on his own anyway, so why are we even here? Silverfang is impressed with our drive and offers to teach us martial arts by fighting us.
You're completely defenseless!
And that's what we call a humbling experience. Wait, we learned a move from Silverfang's moveset? Didn't he have to study for years to learn shit like that? How did I learn it? Through osmosis?
You're completely defenseless!
Ignoring that, we unlock things in the abandoned area, like my room, nobody gives a shit, and this store that sells items. This store is one of the most useless stores in existence. It sells buffs to your character that shortens hero arrival time, strengthens your hero, brings up your health. It all sounds good, but I went through the whole game and never felt challenged enough to even remotely need these items. Not that I knew how to use them anyway, I think they're just passive buffs that you get, but you can get so many of them, and none of it is necessary because the combat doesn't challenge you enough to need it. This is as good of a time as I needed to talk about the combat. It sucks. This might be my inexperience in the fighting game genre, but the controls in fights feel stiff as all hell. It feels sluggish and awkward to pull off combos involving more than 2 buttons. Getting hit at all dooms you to get comboed where you stay on the ground for a good amount of time before automatically getting up. The best tactic I found was to spam guard as the enemy tries to attack you, so you have a chance of accidentally performing a perfect guard and getting a free hit. The reason I don't like this combat is because it's far too easy. You start an attack combo and the enemy has no chance of escaping it, and once it's done, they lay on the ground for a long time with no option to speed it up, attack on get up, or even wait a second longer to mix things up. If you walk up to the body and charge a strong attack at the right time, the AI has no choice but to either get hit or suffer a shield break by blocking. This might be remedied by the perfect blocking with actual players, but during my whole time playing, I encountered a total of 0 people possible that could escape this cycle once it got going. In fact, the only time the enemy ever seems to perfect guard is when I try to use my killer moves on them. Killer moves use up the technique gauge next to your character to pull off signature moves derived from other, more cooler characters. I couldn't get too much into them during my playthrough as I was cheesing all of the fights and I barely had to use them, but I suppose the developers never intended for me to use them that often because there's only one voice line associated to a specific killer move, which was good for a solid laugh.
I'm a hero. Beats a man to death with a baseball bat.
Look at this.
Hell yeah.
Ah! Oh!
Oh, he countered you so hard.
Look at this. Proceeds to get countered.
Goodbye.
This is my favorite move.
Goodbye.
They don't seem to have a counter to that.
God, Ryan, I
Oops.
really want to.
There it is.
I
Despite this, fights were getting more repetitive. Pairing with the long get-up animation with the health bars of enemies increasing, fights were getting longer, more repetitive, and eventually started upsetting me because every single fight requires 2 loading screens to get through. I lightly touched on it before, but for every scene change in this game, there's a 30-second loading screen that takes place. Want to go to your room? Loading screen. Want to go to the HQ to raise a rank and do story missions? Loading screen just to get there, and a loading screen to do the mission. Want to grind missions because it's required to get more good boy points to get to the next story mission? Have fun wasting your precious life looking at the loading screen. There's absolutely no reason that the HQ is separated from the main hub. It's just another place to get missions from, and there's already a place in the hub to get Hero Association missions from. Why make us suffer a full loading screen just to go to a place that could have easily been another menu option in the hub area? There are some cases of loading screens that do absolutely nothing and toss me back into the loading screen, and it's at these moments where I realize I'm gonna need more pillows for this game. Now, in case you had some notion that anything could be salvaged from this game, I'll let you know that the story of this game follows the same logic as the combat. Remember how glorious the opening cinematic was and how many dynamic and cool poses were used to show off each character and how cool every one of them was while Tatsumaki is also there? Then you get into the actual game cutscenes and wonder why everything is turning red, only to realize your eyes are bleeding.
Oh.
Oh my God! This is so f***ing boring to watch! The combination of these static models with unchanging facial expressions, bland, similar animations, and the flat-out refusal to do anything even remotely involving action contrasts extremely hard with the art style and over-the-top expressions of the source material. You have iconic scenes playing out where everybody just stands around like a doofus in their idol pose, doing nothing that resembles their character. And at the first sign of action taking place, they cut to black and play a sound as if to say, assume something cool just happened. Even something as mundane as walking into a scene can't be shown. It has to cut away, play the sound of footsteps, and the character just appears out of nowhere. Like, were you embarrassed by the walking animation and you didn't want to show it? There are also some baffling choices when it comes to cinematography as well. Like during the Sea Invasion arc, when the Sea King was defeated, the crowd goes into a long-winded discussion about Saitama and the usefulness of the lower-powered heroes, and the camera just decides to have a pan shot across their feet. Like, what? Is this really the best shot right now? Maybe it's just doing the best it can to hide the fact that every NPC is pulled from the same pool as the character creator, which is another thing that rubs me the wrong way during the campaign. Every NPC uses the same resources available in the character creator, which really means they will all look like a generic anime protagonist, or they will be a messed up mishmash of different characters' parts rolled into one. I was unfortunately too quick to praise the character creator earlier. Although the accessory placement is still hilarious, the things you can get for your avatar range from far too generic to assets ripped directly off of better designed characters, meaning every character you run into has a decent chance of having some sort of asset that ties them to a different character that you would much rather be interacting with instead. And this style stealing goes a step further in combat when you steal the movesets of other characters just by being around them, meaning you can take every single thing unique about out other characters and slap them on to another random Joe, and suddenly it's not as iconic to see these characters anymore. Like, I thought Puri Puri Prisoner had a unique style, but after 20 enemies using the same flamboyant angel rush attack, and one of them even wearing his face, he just seemed like another one of the 100 fucks who fight with their fist. And returning to how much the cutscenes suck, most of the NPCs don't even have any interesting animations. Remember the Paradise people and their unique outfits that expand and bulked people up in an interesting way? In this game, they just stand there gyrating up and down. Like, what are you doing? But the cutscenes and combat are nothing compared to the plot that this game runs, because the story of this game follows your character who experiences things at the same time in parallel with Saitama. It's bad enough seeing all these amazing moments butchered, but to also see the character forced into scenes making absolutely no impact on the situation is awful to an almost prolific level. There are some levels where you are required to face insanely strong enemies only to fail, and Saitama comes in to do his singular smack thing and win. Only sometimes you have to reach a health threshold to advance. Alright, no problem. I get some lucky hits in and they fade to black. Maybe I'll get a cutscene that says I did put up a good fight, or they tell me that I couldn't beat them. Yeah, I know I can't beat you because I couldn't beat you 3 times already. There's just so many moments where whatever you are doing doesn't matter at all. Whether it's you winning a fight, choosing dialogue options, or choosing whether or not to become part of a faction. I straight up refused to be part of Fubuki's gang, and they move on as if I agreed to them. Like, do I have any say in this, or are you just going to tempt me with the illusion of choice? I think my experience can really be summed up when my friends joined me after a long day of trying to play this game. What the f***?
Ryan, how's that game going?
It f***ing blows, alright?
Overall, One Punch Man, a hero nobody knows, is a waste of time, money, and sanity. Right from the start of the game, the feeling of being in the world of One Punch Man is immediately cheapened with the poorly done cutscenes and a gameplay loop that does not engage. The loading times cripple any sort of hope that the game had in pacing, making the whole experience feel slow, monotonous, and super tedious. Pairing with an upgrade system that doesn't feel thought out and is overall completely useless to the overall experience. This game reeks of poor management and lack of overall planning throughout the entire project. You can get a cheap laugh here and there because of how poorly made it is, but that doesn't even come close to making it a so bad it's good type of experience. Now I hope that this lets everyone know that I can indeed review games that I think are terrible, and if you're still on the fence about that, then join me in my next video where I review McDonald's food a week after I bought it. 2 out of 10.